Your art is worthless. You'll never sell a single piece. Professor Benjamin had declared 6 years ago, failing her. Contemporary art auction. A mysterious painting sold for $15 million. Benjamin himself had placed the winning bid. And now meet the artist. Camille stepped forward in a paint-splattered designer dress. Benjamin's paddle fell. Your $15 million just paid for my children's trust fund. 3 kids in tiny berets ran to her. Mommy, the man who bought your painting looks just like us. Benjamin's society wife slowly turned. What did those children just say? But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. You have something most students will never have. Camille Jackson looked up from her canvas. Professor Benjamin Hayes stood behind her easel, studying her painting with an expression she could not read. The studio was full of other students, but his words felt like they were meant only for her. What is that? Camille asked. Real talent, Benjamin said, not technical skill you can teach. Actual vision. Camille felt her face get warm. She was 24 years old and had heard many things about her work before, but never from someone like Benjamin Hayes. He was a known painter. He taught at the Manhattan Arts Institute in Midtown. He wore expensive clothes and knew everyone important in the New York art world. Thank you, Camille said quietly. Benjamin walked away to look at another student's work. Camille returned to her painting, but her hands shook slightly as she held the brush. She had been in his advanced oil painting class for 6 weeks. This was the first time he had spoken directly to her. After class ended, Camille packed her supplies into her bag. She was exhausted. She had worked the morning shift at the diner in Hell's Kitchen before coming to class. She served breakfast to tourists and business people from 6 in the morning until 11. Then she took the subway to the institute for her afternoon classes. Tonight she would clean apartments on the Upper East Side until midnight. She slept 5 hours each night, if she was lucky. Camille, wait a moment. She turned. Benjamin stood by his desk. The other students had already left. Yes, Professor Hayes? I want to offer you additional instruction, Benjamin said. Your technique is strong, but there are refinements that could take your work to the next level. Would you be interested in staying after class, once or twice a week? Camille hesitated. Her schedule was already impossible, but this was exactly the kind of opportunity she had come to New York to find. Yes, she said, I would like that. Good. Stay after class on Thursday. We will work on your current piece. Camille nodded and left the studio. On the subway back to her tiny apartment in Brooklyn, she allowed herself to feel excited. Benjamin Hayes wanted to teach her privately. Maybe her life was finally moving in the right direction. Thursday came. Camille stayed after class while the other students filed out. Benjamin locked the studio door so they would not be interrupted. He pulled a chair next to her easel and sat down. Show me what you are working on, he said. Camille showed him a painting of a woman walking through a city street at night. The woman's face was turned away. The buildings around her were dark and tall. This is interesting, Benjamin said, but you are holding back. I can see it in your brushwork. You are afraid to commit to the emotion. I do not know what you mean, Camille said. Benjamin stood and moved behind her. He reached around and put his hand over hers, guiding the brush across the canvas. His body was very close to hers. Feel the movement, he said. Do not think. Just feel. Camille's heart beat faster. His hand was warm over hers. She could smell his cologne. Like this? She asked. Exactly like that, Benjamin said. He stepped back. You learn quickly. They worked for another hour. Benjamin told her about his own paintings his career, his philosophy about art. Camille listened carefully. She came from Philadelphia. Her parents were a nurse and a delivery truck driver. Nobody in her family understood why she wanted to paint. Being here with Benjamin Hayes felt like she had finally found someone who understood her. The private lessons continued. Once a week became twice a week. Benjamin started telling Camille personal things. He said his marriage to Victoria Hayes was empty. He said his wife cared only about money and social status. He said they barely spoke at home. "Why do you stay married?" Camille asked one evening. They were alone in the studio. It was 8 o'clock at night. The building was quiet. "Obligation," Benjamin said. "Her family has connections I need for my career. But there is no love there. There has not been love for years." He looked at Camille in a way that made her stomach flip. "You are different from the people in my world," Benjamin said. "You are genuine. You care about art, not status." "I just want to paint," Camille said. "I know," Benjamin said. "That is why you are special." 2 weeks later, Benjamin kissed her. It happened after class in the empty studio. Camille kissed him back. She knew it was wrong. He was her professor. He was married. But he made her feel seen and important. He told her she was talented. He told her she was special. "I have a small apartment in Chelsea," Benjamin said. "I use it as a painting studio. Victoria does not know about it. We could meet there, somewhere private." Camille agreed. She did not think about consequences. She only thought about how Benjamin looked at her like she mattered. For 3 months they met at the Chelsea apartment 2 or 3 times each week. Benjamin brought her expensive art supplies. He told her she was different from everyone else. He said when the timing was right, he would leave Victoria. Camille believed him because she wanted to believe him. She stopped spending time with other students. All her free time went to Benjamin. She painted a portrait of him in her Brooklyn apartment late at night. She imagined a future where they were together, openly, where she finished her degree and started showing her work in galleries, where Benjamin left his wife, and they built a real life together. She did not tell anyone about the relationship. Benjamin said it had to stay secret until he figured out how to leave his marriage. Camille understood. She was patient. Then one morning in November, Camille woke up feeling sick. She threw up in the bathroom. She felt exhausted in a way that was different from her usual exhaustion. Her period was late, very late. After her shift at the diner, Camille bought 3 pregnancy tests at a drugstore. She took them to the bathroom at the Manhattan Arts Institute before her afternoon class. Her hands shook as she opened the first box. She sat on the closed toilet lid and waited. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. Finally, she looked down at the test in her hand. 2 pink lines. She took the second test. 2 pink lines. She took the third test. 2 pink lines. Camille started shaking so badly she dropped the test into the sink. She stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Her face looked pale and terrified. She was pregnant. She was pregnant with Benjamin Hayes's baby. Camille waited until after class on Tuesday afternoon. She had spent 3 days trying to find the right moment and the right words. Every time she saw Benjamin in the studio, her stomach twisted with fear and hope mixed together. When the other students left, Camille walked to Benjamin's office. The door was open. He sat at his desk, looking at his phone. "Professor Hayes, can I talk to you?" Benjamin looked up. "I have a meeting in 20 minutes. Can this wait?" "No," Camille said. "It cannot wait." Something in her voice made him put down his phone. "Come in." "Close the door." Camille stepped inside and closed the door behind her. The office was small, with paintings on the walls and books stacked on every surface. She had been here many times before. Those times felt different, safe. This time her heart was beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. "What is it?" Benjamin asked. "I am pregnant." The words came out flat and simple. Camille watched Benjamin's face change. The warm expression he always had when they were alone disappeared completely. His eyes went cold. He looked at her like she was a stranger. Benjamin did not speak for a long time. The silence filled the small office, until Camille felt like she could not breathe. "Are you sure?" he finally said. "Yes. I took 3 tests, all positive." "Whose baby is it?" Camille felt like he had slapped her. "What?" "Whose baby is it?" Benjamin repeated. "It is yours," Camille said. Her voice was shaking now. "You know it is yours. There is nobody else. There has never been anybody else." Benjamin stood up and walked to the window. He put his hands in his pockets and stared outside with his back to her. "This is a disaster," he said quietly. "Benjamin, we need to talk about what we are going to do." "What we are going to do?" He turned around. His face was not cold anymore. Now it was angry. "There is no we, Camille. You need to take care of this." "Take care of it?" "You know what I mean." Camille's legs felt weak. She sat down in the chair across from his desk. "I am not going to do that." "Then you are making a terrible mistake." "This is your baby," Camille said. "Our baby." "No." Benjamin walked back to his desk. He did not sit down. He stood looking down at her. "Listen to me very carefully. I have a career. I have a marriage. I cannot have a scandal. You knew what this was. You are a smart girl. You will figure something out." "Figure something out?" Camille could not believe what she was hearing. "You said you cared about me. You said I was special." "I said many things," Benjamin said. His voice was hard now, "but I never promised you anything permanent. You need to handle this situation, and you need to do it quietly. I am keeping this baby." Benjamin's jaw tightened. "If you tell anyone I am the father, I will destroy you. Do you understand me? I will destroy your reputation in every art program and gallery in America. Nobody will believe you anyway. I am a respected professor. You are just a desperate student who clearly has boundary issues." Camille felt tears burning in her eyes, but she refused to cry in front of him. "I thought you loved me." "Love?" Benjamin laughed, but the sound was cruel. "You are 24 years old. You actually believed a married professor was going to leave his wife for a student with no money and no connections? That is incredibly naive." Camille stood up. Her whole body was shaking. "Wantu, what about my final project? I am supposed to present next week." "We will discuss that later," Benjamin said. "Right now you need to leave my office. I have a meeting." Camille walked to the door. She turned back one more time. "You are the father of this baby, whether you admit it or not." "Get out," Benjamin said. Camille left. She walked down the hallway of the Manhattan Arts Institute, past classrooms where other students were painting and drawing and building the futures she thought she would have. She went to the bathroom and finally let herself cry. That night, Camille tried to call her mother in Philadelphia. Her mother answered on the 4th ring. "Camille, is everything okay?" "Mom, I need to tell you something." "What is wrong? You sound upset." Camille opened her mouth to explain everything. About Benjamin, about the pregnancy, about how her life was falling apart. But the words would not come. Her mother would ask who the father was. Her parents would be disappointed and angry. They had not wanted her to move to New York in the first place. "Nothing is wrong," Camille said. "I just wanted to hear your voice." "Are you sure? You sound strange." "I am sure. I have to go. I love you." Camille hung up before her mother could ask more questions. The next day, Camille went to class. She hoped Benjamin had changed his mind after thinking about it overnight. Maybe he was just scared. Maybe he needed time to process the news. But when she walked into the studio, Benjamin was standing at the front of the room, talking to students like nothing had happened. He did not look at Camille. He did not acknowledge her at all. "Final projects are due next week," Benjamin announced. "This project represents 50% of your grade. I expect your absolute best work." Camille had been working on her final project for 3 months. It was a series of 6 paintings about loneliness in cities. She had poured everything into those paintings. They were the best work she had ever created. She spent the next week finishing the series. She barely slept. She barely ate. She worked in her apartment until 3 and 4 in the morning, painting and repainting until every detail was perfect. On the day final projects were due, Camille carried her 6 paintings to the institute carefully wrapped in brown paper. Other students displayed their work in the main studio. Professors walked around, looking at each project and making notes. Benjamin stopped at Camille's display. He studied her 6 paintings for a long time without speaking. Other students watched. They knew Camille's work was exceptional. Everyone expected her to receive the highest marks. Benjamin wrote something on his evaluation form and walked away. 2 days later, grades were posted. Camille found her name on the list. Next to it was a single letter, F. She stared at the letter for a full minute, not understanding. There had to be a mistake. She had never failed anything in her entire life. Camille went to the department office and asked to see her evaluation. The secretary handed her a form. In Benjamin's handwriting it read, "Technically incompetent, emotionally empty, not graduate-level work." "There is a mistake," Camille said to the secretary. "This cannot be right." "You need to speak with Professor Hayes," the secretary said. Camille went to Benjamin's office, but the door was locked. She waited for an hour. He never came. The next morning, Camille received an email asking her to meet with the department chair, Professor Linda Morrison. Camille arrived at the meeting hoping Professor Morrison would help her. Professor Morrison was a woman in her 60s with gray hair and a serious expression. She gestured for Camille to sit down. "Camille, Professor Hayes has expressed concerns about your performance in his class," Professor Morrison said. "He believes you are not ready for graduate-level work." "That is not true," Camille said. "My work is strong. Everyone knows that. He is failing me for personal reasons." "What personal reasons?" Camille hesitated. Benjamin's threat echoed in her mind. If she told the truth, he would destroy her. But if she said nothing, she lost everything anyway. "I cannot explain," Camille said quietly. "Then I cannot help you," Professor Morrison said. "Professor Hayes is a respected member of our faculty. Without evidence of improper grading, I have to trust his professional judgment. My recommendation is that you take time off to reconsider whether this program is the right fit for you." "You are asking me to leave?" "I am suggesting a break, to reassess your goals." Camille stood up. "I do not need a break. I need people to see the truth." "The truth is reflected in your grades," Professor Morrison said. "I am sorry, Camille." Camille walked out of the office. She walked out of the Manhattan Arts Institute. She kept walking until she reached the subway station. She sat on the platform waiting for the train and finally understood that her life as she had planned it was over. That night, Camille packed her art supplies into boxes in her tiny Brooklyn apartment. Her roommate Sarah watched from the doorway. "Where are you going?" Sarah asked. "I am moving. Somewhere cheaper." "What happened at school? You were doing so well." "I do not want to talk about it." "Camille, you can tell me." "I really cannot," Camille said. She sealed another box with tape. "I just need to start over." Sarah came closer. "Are you in trouble?" Camille looked at her roommate. Sweet Sarah, who had normal problems like boyfriend drama and student loans. Sarah could never understand what had happened. Nobody could. "I am going to be fine," Camille said. "I just need to go." 2 days later, Camille moved to a studio apartment in Flatbush, Brooklyn that cost $800 per month. The building smelled like mildew and had bars on the windows. Her new apartment was one room with a bathroom the size of a closet, but it was all she could afford. She had no degree, no money, no plan, and a baby growing inside her that nobody wanted except her. Camille woke up every morning in the Flatbush apartment and stared at the water stains on the ceiling. The room was so small she could touch both walls if she stretched out her arms. Through the barred windows, she heard buses and sirens and people yelling in the street below. She was 12 weeks pregnant now. Her stomach was starting to show. Every week, her mother called from Philadelphia. Every week, the conversation was the same. "Camille, you need to tell us who the father is." "I cannot tell you that, Mom." "Why not? Is he married? Is that why you are protecting him?" Camille closed her eyes. "Please, stop asking. Your father and I want to help you, but we need to understand what happened. This man should take responsibility." "He will not take responsibility. There is no point talking about him." Her mother's voice got harder. "Then you made a mistake getting involved with someone like that. You should have been smarter." "I know," Camille said quietly. "I know I should have been smarter. Come home to Philadelphia. You can have the baby here. We will help you." "I cannot come home." "Why not?" Because coming home meant admitting she had failed. It meant listening to her parents say they were right about New York. It meant seeing disappointment in their faces every single day. "I need to stay here," Camille said. "I will figure it out." "Figure it out? You have no degree and no job. How will you take care of a baby?" "I will find a way." Her mother sighed. "I do not understand you, Camille. I really do not. Call us when you are ready to be honest." The calls became less frequent. Then they stopped completely. Camille tried calling her father once, but he said he could not talk to her until she was ready to tell the truth. Her 2 older sisters did not call at all. Camille was alone. She needed work. She went to restaurants and stores all over Brooklyn asking if they were hiring. Most places took one look at her growing stomach and said they had no positions available. Finally, a diner in Park Slope hired her. The manager was a man named Lou who had gray hair and tired eyes. "I need someone for night shifts," Lou said. 10 at night until 6 in the morning. Can you do that?" "Yes," Camille said. "You are pregnant." "Yes." "How far along?" 16 weeks. Lou looked at her carefully. "I do not care if you are pregnant. I care if you show up on time and do the work. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Then you start tomorrow night." The night shift at the diner was hard. Camille served drunk people coming from bars. She served taxi drivers and nurses finishing their shifts. She carried heavy trays of food and pots of coffee. Her feet swelled, her back hurt. But the tips were decent, and Lou did not ask questions about her life. At 7 in the morning, Camille took the subway back to Flatbush. She slept until 2 in the afternoon. Then she woke up and ate cereal and tried not to think about Benjamin Hayes or the Manhattan Arts Institute or the future. Her stomach grew bigger. At 6 months pregnant, she could barely tie her shoes. A regular customer at the diner, an older woman named Gloria, noticed. "Honey, you should not be working this hard," Gloria said. "You need to rest." "I need to pay rent," Camille said. "Where is the baby's father?" "Not here." Gloria shook her head. "Men, they are all the same." Camille said nothing. She refilled Gloria's coffee and moved to the next table. One night in her 7th month, the diner was very busy. Camille carried a tray with 4 plates of food. Someone had spilled water on the floor near the kitchen. Camille did not see it. Her foot slid. She fell hard, landing on her side. The plates crashed to the floor around her. "Oh my God!" someone shouted. Lou ran over. "Camille, do not move. Are you okay?" Camille tried to sit up. Pain shot through her stomach. "I do not know." "Someone call an ambulance," Lou said. 20 minutes later, Camille was in an ambulance heading to Brookdale Hospital. The pain in her stomach was getting worse. She was terrified she had hurt the baby. At the emergency room, a doctor examined her. He was young with kind eyes. "The baby's heartbeat is strong," he said, "but we need to do an ultrasound to make sure everything is okay." They took Camille to a different room. A technician put cold gel on her stomach and moved a wand across her skin. Camille watched the black and white screen, trying to understand what she was seeing. The technician stopped moving the wand. She stared at the screen. "What is wrong?" Camille asked. "Nothing is wrong," the technician said slowly, "but I need to get the doctor." "Why? What did you see?" The doctor came in and looked at the screen. He moved the wand himself, checking different angles. "Miss Jackson," he said, "when was your last ultrasound?" "I have not had one. I could not afford it." The doctor nodded. "That explains it. Miss Jackson, you are not having one baby. You are having 3 babies." Camille's brain could not process the words. "What?" "Triplets. 3 babies. See here? 3 separate heartbeats." The doctor pointed at the screen. Camille saw 3 small shapes moving, 3 hearts beating. She started laughing. She could not stop laughing. The doctor and technician looked concerned. "Miss Jackson, are you all right?" Camille laughed until tears ran down her face. Then the laughing turned into crying. 3 babies. She could barely afford to feed herself. How was she supposed to take care of 3 babies? "Do you have family support?" the doctor asked gently. "No." "A partner?" "No." The doctor exchanged a look with the technician. "I am going to have a social worker come talk to you before you leave. There are programs that can help." The social worker was a tired woman named Patricia, who had seen everything. She gave Camille applications for WIC benefits, food stamps, and temporary assistance. She gave her information about free parenting classes and donated baby supplies. "You are going to need a lot of help," Patricia said. 3 babies is very difficult, even with support." "I know," Camille said. "Is there anyone you can call?" Camille thought about her parents in Philadelphia. She thought about Benjamin Hayes and his Tribeca loft. She thought about her former classmates at the Manhattan Arts Institute. "No," Camille said. "There is nobody." 2 months later, at 37 weeks pregnant, Camille woke up at 4 in the morning with contractions. She timed them on her phone like the parenting class had taught her. 5 minutes apart, then 4 minutes, then 3. She called a taxi and went to Brookdale Hospital alone. The labor took 6 hours. First came Marcus, small and screaming, then Miles, quiet and alert, then Maya, the smallest of all 3. The nurses placed all 3 babies on Camille's chest. They were tiny and warm and real. 3 perfect humans who needed everything from her. "You did amazing," a nurse said. "All 3 are healthy. It is a miracle." Camille looked at the 3 babies. They all had green eyes. Benjamin's eyes. She would see his face every single day for the rest of her life. "What are their names?" the nurse asked. "Marcus, Miles, and Maya," Camille said. "Marcus, Miles, and Maya Jackson." 5 days later, Camille brought 3 babies home to her tiny Flatbush apartment. A church charity program had donated 3 cribs. They were lined up against one wall, taking up most of the space. Camille had bought diapers and formula With the little money she had saved, she placed each baby carefully in their crib. They looked so small, so fragile. That first night, Camille did not sleep at all. Marcus cried, then Maya cried, then Miles cried, then Marcus cried again. Camille fed them and changed them and rocked them. As soon as one baby fell asleep, another one woke up. By the end of the first week, Camille had slept maybe 10 hours total. She moved through the apartment in a fog. Feed the babies. Change the babies. Try to make them stop crying. Do it again, and again, and again. At 2 in the morning on the 8th day, all 3 babies were crying at the same time. Camille sat on the floor between the 3 cribs. She was crying too. She did not know how to make them stop. She did not know how to do this alone. Someone knocked on the door. Camille wiped her face and stood up. She opened the door. An elderly woman stood in the hallway. She had white hair and wore a house dress. "I am Ruth," the woman said. "I live next door. I have been hearing you through the walls for over a week now." "I am sorry," Camille said. "The babies cry a lot. I am trying to keep them quiet." "I am not complaining," Ruth said. She looked past Camille into the apartment at the 3 crying babies. "I am here to help. You clearly need it." Ruth walked into the apartment without waiting for an invitation. She went straight to the first crib and picked up Marcus. She held him against her shoulder and patted his back in a steady rhythm. His crying started to slow down. "You," Ruth said to Camille, "pick up the other 2, 1 in each arm. Hold them close." Camille picked up Miles and Maya. She held them awkwardly, trying to support both their heads at the same time. "Not like that," Ruth said. "Tighter. They need to feel secure." Camille adjusted her grip. Maya stopped crying. Then Miles stopped too. Within 5 minutes, all 3 babies were quiet. "How did you do that?" Camille asked. "I raised a daughter," Ruth said. "You learn things. When did you last sleep?" "I do not remember." "When did you last eat?" Camille thought about it. "Yesterday morning, I think." Ruth shook her head. "You cannot take care of babies if you do not take care of yourself. Put them back in their cribs. I am going to make you food." "You do not have to do that." "I know I do not have to. I am doing it anyway." Ruth went to Camille's tiny kitchen and opened the refrigerator. It was nearly empty. Some milk, half a loaf of bread, and 3 eggs. "This is not enough food," Ruth said. "I know. I need to go shopping, but I cannot leave the babies alone. Tomorrow I will watch the babies while you shop. Tonight I will make eggs." Ruth cooked scrambled eggs while Camille sat at the small table watching her. She could not remember the last time someone had helped her with anything. "Why are you doing this?" Camille asked. Ruth did not turn around from the stove. "My daughter died 18 years ago. She was 23. Car accident. My husband died 6 years after that. Heart attack. I live alone. I am bored. You need help. It makes sense." "I am sorry about your daughter." "Me too." Ruth put the eggs on a plate and set it in front of Camille. "Eat." Camille ate. The eggs were hot and salty and tasted better than anything she had eaten in weeks. "Thank you," Camille said. "You can thank me by sleeping for 4 hours while I watch the babies. Go. I will wake you if they need to be fed." Camille was too exhausted to argue. She lay down on her mattress on the floor and fell asleep immediately. Ruth came every day after that. She watched Marcus, Miles, and Maya while Camille slept. She brought groceries. She showed Camille how to feed all 3 babies at once using propped bottles. She taught her how to change diapers faster. "You need to go back to work," Ruth said one afternoon. "You cannot live on government assistance forever. It is not enough money." "I know," Camille said, "but I cannot work and watch 3 babies. That is why I am here. I am retired. I have time. You work. I watch the babies. Simple. I cannot ask you to do that. You are not asking. I am offering. We will figure out the schedule. Camille went back to the night shift at the diner in Park Slope. Lou was happy to have her back. From 10 at night until 6 in the morning, Camille served food and refilled coffee. Ruth stayed in the apartment watching the babies while Camille worked. But the money from one job was not enough. Camille picked up a morning shift at a Starbucks in Brooklyn Heights. She worked from 7 in the morning until noon, making lattes and cleaning tables. She slept from 1 in the afternoon until 9 at night. 8 hours total if she was lucky. Usually less. The months passed. Marcus, Miles, and Maya grew from tiny newborns into babies who could sit up and grab things. Their green eyes became more noticeable. Their features started to look more defined. Camille saw Benjamin Hayes in all 3 faces, the same nose, the same shape of their mouths. Every time she looked at them, she saw the man who had destroyed her life. But she also saw 3 children who needed her. 3 children who smiled when she came home from work. 3 children who were hers. When the triplets turned 1 year old, Camille added a 3rd job. She cleaned office buildings in Lower Manhattan on Saturday and Sunday mornings. She took the subway at 5 in the morning and scrubbed toilets and mopped floors until noon. Ruth watched Camille come home exhausted every day. "You are working yourself to death," Ruth said. "I am keeping us alive," Camille replied. "There is a difference between living and surviving. You are only surviving. Surviving is enough." The triplets learned to walk. Marcus walked first, careful and steady. Then Maya, fearless and falling constantly. Then Miles, who watched his siblings before trying it himself. They destroyed the small apartment, pulling books off shelves and banging toys against walls. The noise was constant and exhausting, and Camille loved them so much it hurt. One night, after all 3 children finally fell asleep, Camille could not sleep. She was exhausted, but her mind would not stop. She opened the closet looking for an extra blanket and found a box she had packed 3 years ago. Her painting supplies. Camille pulled out the box and opened it. The brushes were dried out. The paints were old. But seeing them made something break open inside her chest. She had not painted since leaving the Manhattan Arts Institute. She had not even thought about painting. She had been too busy surviving. She set up a small corner of the apartment with a lamp and an old easel she had brought from her previous apartment. She found a canvas in the bottom of the box. She opened a tube of paint. At first, her hands felt awkward holding a brush. But then the motion came back to her. She painted without thinking. She painted a woman walking through a dark street. She painted 3 small shadows following behind the woman. She painted until 3 in the morning. She painted her anger at Benjamin Hayes. She painted her exhaustion from working 3 jobs. She painted her fear that she was failing her children. She painted her loneliness. She painted everything she could not say out loud because there was nobody to say it to. Painting became her release. Every night, after the children slept, Camille painted for 2 or 3 hours. She painted dark images, women with hollow eyes, children reaching upward, men with blank faces turning away, hands coming up from broken ground. Ruth saw the paintings one morning when she came to watch the children. "What are these?" Ruth asked. "Nothing," Camille said. "Just something I do to stay sane." Ruth looked at the paintings carefully. She stood in front of each one for a long time. "These are not nothing," Ruth said. "These are extraordinary. They are just paintings. No, these are important. You should try to sell them." Camille laughed. The sound was bitter. Nobody is going to buy paintings from someone with no credentials and no connections. The art world does not work that way. So you just give up? You just work 3 jobs forever? I do what I have to do for my children. And what if you could do more? What if you could build something better? The art world already told me I was not good enough, Camille said quietly. I am not going back to that. One person told you that. One person who was a coward and a liar. That does not mean your work is not valuable. Camille turned away. It does not matter. I have no way to sell paintings. I know nobody. I am nobody. Let me try something, Ruth said. Just let me try. Ruth took photographs of 3 paintings with her phone. She printed the photographs at a drugstore. She brought them to her synagogue the next Saturday and showed them to people after services. Most people were polite, but not interested. One woman named Barbara looked at the photographs for a long time. These are very powerful, Barbara said. Who painted them? A young woman I know, a single mother with 3 small children. She needs money. Does she have gallery representation? No, she has nothing, but the work speaks for itself. Barbara took one photograph. I know someone who runs a small gallery in Williamsburg. His name is Simon Park. Let me show him this. 2 months passed. Camille forgot about the photographs. She worked her 3 jobs and painted at night, and tried to keep Marcus, Miles, and Maya fed and healthy. Then one evening, Ruth knocked on Camille's door with a strange expression on her face. What is wrong? Camille asked. Nothing is wrong. I need you to come with me tomorrow afternoon. Bring 1 painting, your best one. Why? There is a man who wants to meet you, a gallery owner. He saw the photograph I showed to Barbara. He wants to see your actual work. Camille's heart started beating faster. Ruth, I cannot. What if he says it is terrible? What if he says it is extraordinary? Ruth interrupted. What if this changes everything? You will never know unless you try. The next afternoon, Camille wrapped her best painting in an old bedsheet. It showed a woman standing in darkness holding 3 small lights. The woman's face was turned upward. Ruth watched the children while Camille took the subway to Williamsburg. She had written the address on a piece of paper. The gallery was on a quiet street near the waterfront. Camille stood outside the gallery for 5 minutes before she could make herself go inside. The windows were clean and bright. She could see white walls and track lighting. It looked professional and expensive. She looked down at her jeans and old jacket covered in paint stains. She did not belong here. But she had come this far. She pushed open the door. A man stood alone in the gallery, looking at a painting on the wall. He was short with black hair and glasses. He wore nice jeans and a button-down shirt. He turned when he heard the door. Can I help you? I am looking for Simon Park. That is me. He walked toward her and extended his hand. You must be Camille. Ruth told me you were coming. Camille shook his hand. Yes, I brought a painting. Good. Let me see it. Camille hesitated. Maybe I should explain something first. I do not have a degree. I left art school before graduating. I have no credentials and no connections. I work 3 jobs and I have 3 young children. I do not know if my work is actually good or if Ruth was just being kind. Simon smiled. Let me see the painting. Then we will know. Camille unwrapped the sheet carefully. She held up the painting. Simon stepped back to look at it from a distance. He stared at it without speaking. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 5. Camille's arms started to hurt from holding the canvas. Finally, Simon spoke. Can you put it down on that table? Camille set the painting on a white table in the center of the gallery. Simon walked around it, looking from different angles. He leaned close to examine the brushwork. He stepped back to see the whole composition. "This is museum-quality work," Simon said quietly. Camille's throat tightened. "What? This is extraordinary. The technique is flawless. But more than that, the emotion is real. I can feel what you were feeling when you painted this. That is rare, very rare." "You really think it is good?" Simon looked at her. "I think it is brilliant. Why are you not represented by a major gallery? I told you, I have no degree, no connections. A professor at Manhattan Arts Institute failed me and told me I had no talent. I left the program." "What professor?" "It does not matter. It was 3 years ago." Simon studied her face. "Whoever told you that was either blind or lying. Your work is exceptional. I want to represent you. I want to sell your paintings in this gallery." Camille felt dizzy. "Really?" "Yes, but I need to understand your situation. You said you have 3 children. You work 3 jobs. Can you keep painting? How much time do you have?" "I paint every night after my children sleep. 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes more." "That is enough. How many finished paintings do you have?" 7 total, including this one. "I want to see all of them. But first, I need to know if you are serious about this. If we do this, it is not a hobby. It is a career. I will take 30% of sales. That is standard. I will handle everything else. Marketing, collectors, shipping, framing. You just paint. Does that work for you?" "Yes," Camille said. "But I have one condition." "What condition?" "Nobody can know my name. I need to stay completely anonymous." Simon frowned. "Why?" "The person who destroyed my career before was powerful. If he finds out I am painting again, he might try to destroy me again. I cannot risk that. I have children who depend on me." "Anonymous artists are difficult to promote," Simon said, "but not impossible. It has been done before. The mystery can actually help sales. Collectors like owning something mysterious." "So you will do it?" "Yes, but you need to create a signature, something to sign your paintings instead of your name." Camille thought about Marcus, Miles, and Maya sleeping in their cribs. 3 children who were her entire world. 3 circles, she said. 3 small circles connected by one line. "What does it mean?" "It means the 3 people who matter most to me." "Perfect," Simon said. "Bring me the other 6 paintings. We will start selling your work immediately." 3 weeks later, Simon called Camille at 11 in the morning. She had just gotten home from her Starbucks shift and was about to sleep before her night shift at the diner. "I sold the painting," Simon said. Camille sat down on her mattress. "What?" "The painting you showed me. A collector from Boston bought it. $3,000. Camille could not breathe. $3,000? "Yes. Minus my 30%, you will receive $2,100. I am depositing it in your account today." When the money appeared in her bank account, Camille cried. It was more money than she had ever had at once. More money than she made in 2 months working 3 jobs. "Keep painting," Simon told her. "I will sell everything you give me." Camille painted every night. She painted women walking through broken cities. She painted children reaching for light. She painted hands coming up from darkness. She painted her rage and her exhaustion and her love for her children. Simon sold every painting. The first few went for $3,000 and $5,000, then $10,000, then $20,000. Art blogs started writing about the mysterious anonymous painter in Brooklyn. Critics tried to guess who she was. The mystery made people more interested. They wanted to own work by someone unknown. 1 year after her first sale, Camille's paintings were selling for $50,000 each. She quit her job at the Starbucks. She kept the night shift at the diner and the weekend cleaning job. But having one less job meant she could sleep 6 hours a day instead of 4. Marcus, Miles, and Maya, turned 3 years old. They were loud and wild and exhausting. Marcus was serious and responsible. Miles was quiet and creative. Maya was fearless and talked constantly. All three had Benjamin's green eyes. Ruth still watched them every day. "You need to quit the other jobs too," Ruth said. "You are making enough money from painting now." "Not yet," Camille said. "What if the paintings stop selling? I need the security." But the paintings kept selling. 50,000 became 100,000, then 150,000, then 200,000. Critics called her the most important anonymous artist in America. The New York Times art section wrote an article trying to discover her identity. Nobody came close to the truth. Simon protected her secret carefully. He never told anyone her name. Money went directly into a bank account she had opened under the business name 3 Circles Studio. No paperwork connected Camille Jackson to the anonymous painter. When Marcus, Miles, and Maya turned 4, Camille finally quit her job at the diner and the cleaning job. She kept money in savings in case everything fell apart. But for the first time in 4 years, she was not working 3 jobs. She only painted. She moved out of the tiny Flatbush apartment into a 3-bedroom apartment in Crown Heights. The new place had big windows and actual sunlight. Each child got their own bedroom. Camille set up a small studio in the corner of the living room. Ruth moved into a rent-controlled apartment in the same building, 2 floors down. She still watched the children every afternoon while Camille painted. "You did it," Ruth said one evening. "You built a real life." "I am terrified it will disappear," Camille admitted. "It will not disappear. You have real talent. The world is finally seeing what I saw 3 years ago." Marcus, Miles, and Maya started pre-kindergarten at a public school near their apartment. Teachers said all 3 were bright. Maya told everyone her mother was a painter. Miles drew pictures during quiet time. Marcus made sure his siblings had their jackets and backpacks. On a Tuesday evening in February, Simon called Camille. His voice sounded different, excited. "I need you to sit down," Simon said. "What happened?" "Christie's auction house contacted me. They want to auction one of your paintings in their contemporary art evening sale. The big one. The one with the woman on the mountain holding the stars." Camille's hands started shaking. "Christie's? That is huge." "It is the biggest possible platform. Their estimate is $10 to $20 million. Camille, if this sells anywhere near that estimate, you will never have to worry about money again. Your children will never have to worry." $10 to $20 million, Camille repeated. The numbers felt impossible. "There is something else I need to tell you," Simon said. "If we do this, your work will be seen by everyone in the art world. Everyone, including people from your past." Camille thought about Benjamin Hayes. She had not spoken his name out loud in 5 years. "I know," she said quietly. "Are you ready for that?" Camille looked around her apartment. She looked at the 3 bedrooms where her children slept. She thought about everything she had survived, everything she had built. "Simon, I want to do something different this time." "What do you mean?" "I want to reveal my identity. At the auction, the moment the hammer falls." Silence on the other end of the phone. Then Simon said, "Are you sure? Once you reveal yourself, you cannot take it back." "I am sure. I want Marcus, Miles, and Maya to see their mother stand up and claim her work. I want the person who told me I was worthless to know the truth. I am done hiding." Simon came to Camille's apartment the next evening. Marcus, Miles, and Maya were eating dinner at the small table. Ruth was helping Maya cut her chicken. "Uncle Simon," Maya shouted. She had started calling him that 6 months ago. "Hi, Maya," Simon said. He waved to all 3 children. "Can I talk to your mom in private?" Ruth nodded. "I will handle dinner." Camille and Simon went into her small painting studio. Simone closed the door. "I need to make sure you understand what you are doing," Simon said. "Revealing your identity is permanent. You cannot change your mind after. The art world will know who you are. That professor who destroyed your career will know. Everyone will know." "I understand." "Why now? You have been anonymous for 4 years. Why reveal yourself at the biggest moment of your career?" Camille looked through the doorway at her 3 children. Marcus was helping Miles reach the salt shaker. Maya was telling Ruth a long story about something that happened at school. "Because I want my children to know their mother was never worthless," Camille said. "I want them to see me stand up in front of everyone and say this is my work. I did this. The man who tried to erase me was wrong." "Is this about revenge?" "No. This is about showing Marcus, Miles, and Maya that someone who tries to destroy you can actually make you stronger if you refuse to give up. That is the lesson I want them to learn." Simon nodded slowly. "What about the father?" "You never told me his name." "Benjamin Hayes. He was my professor at Manhattan Arts Institute." "Benjamin Hayes, the painter? The one who wrote that book about technique?" "Yes. He will be at the auction," Simon said. "People like him always go to the big Christie's sales. He will see you." "Good. I want him to see me. I want him to know he paid $15 million for a painting by the student he said had no talent." Simon smiled. "That is justice. That is exactly what it is." Over the next week, Camille researched Benjamin Hayes online. She had not looked him up in 5 years. She had forced herself not to think about him at all. Now she typed his name into a search engine and found everything. His faculty page at Manhattan Arts Institute. His book on Amazon with mediocre reviews. Photographs of him at gallery openings wearing expensive suits. An article about his art collection in his Tribeca loft. He looked older. His hair was graying. But he had the same smile, the same confident posture. He had built exactly the life he wanted while Camille worked 3 jobs and raised 3 children alone. Camille felt rage building in her chest, but underneath the rage was something else. Clarity. She was no longer the desperate young student he had failed. She was a successful artist whose work sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The power dynamic had completely reversed. She told Ruth about the plan while the children were at school. "I am going to reveal my identity at the Christie's auction," Camille said. "I want you and the children there. I want Benjamin Hayes to see Marcus, Miles, and Maya." Ruth was quiet for a moment. "Is this about revenge?" "Everyone keeps asking me that. No. This is about justice. It is about showing my children that the person who tried to destroy us ended up paying for their future instead. What if it goes wrong? What if he denies they are his children? He cannot deny it. All 3 of them have his eyes, his nose, his face. Anyone can see it." Ruth reached across the table and took Camille's hand. "I will help however you need. Those children deserve to see their mother be strong." Camille began painting the final piece for the auction. She worked on it every night for 6 weeks. The canvas was 6 feet tall and 8 feet wide, the largest painting she had ever attempted. It showed a woman standing on top of a mountain made of shattered crowns. The woman held 3 small stars in her hands. Her face was turned upward toward a sky full of light. She poured everything into this painting, every emotion from the past 5 years, the fear, the exhaustion, the anger, the love for her children, the determination to survive, the refusal to be destroyed. When she finished, she stood back and looked at it. This was the best work she had ever created. She knew it. Simon would know it. Everyone who saw it would know it. Simone came to see the finished painting on a Saturday morning. He stood in front of it for 10 full minutes without speaking. "This is your masterpiece," he said finally. "This is the painting that will change everything." "You really think so?" "I know so. This is going to sell for a fortune. And when you walk out on that stage and tell everyone who you are, the entire art world is going to remember this moment forever." Simon took photographs of the painting from every angle. He arranged for professional movers to transport it to Christie's warehouse, where it would be stored until the auction. 2 weeks later, Simon called with the confirmation. "The auction is scheduled for Friday, March 15th, 8 o'clock in the evening. Christie's Rockefeller Center location. Your lot is number 47. The estimate is $10 to $20 million. Camille wrote down the information. March 15th, 8 o'clock. "I contacted Christie's about your identity reveal," Simon continued. "They are excited about it. They think it will generate huge publicity. They will have you wait in a private room. When your lot sells, the auctioneer will announce that the artist has chosen to reveal their identity. Then you walk out." "What about the children?" "They can watch on a monitor in the private room. When you walk out, Ruth can bring them down the center aisle. That way everyone sees them at the same moment you tell the truth." Camille closed her eyes. She could picture it, standing on that stage, looking at Benjamin Hayes, telling everyone the truth. Her children walking toward her. "That is perfect," she said. "Camille, are you scared?" "Terrified." "You can still change your mind. You can stay anonymous. The painting will sell either way." "No, I am doing this. I have been silent for 5 years. I am ready to speak." The next few weeks passed in a strange fog. Camille painted smaller pieces for Simone to sell at the gallery. She took Marcus, Miles, and Maya to school every morning. She cooked dinner. She read bedtime stories. She tried to act normal. But inside, her heart was racing. March 15th was coming. Everything was about to change. 1 week before the auction, Camille sat her children down in the living room. "I need to tell you something important," she said. "What is it, Mommy?" Marcus asked. "You know how I paint pictures and people buy them?" All 3 children nodded. "Well, a very fancy place wants to sell one of my paintings. It is called an auction. Lots of people will be there, and I need you 3 to come with me. You will wear nice clothes and be very good. Can you do that?" "Will there be food?" Maya asked. "Probably not food for children, but we will go out to eat after." "Will our father be there?" Miles asked quietly. Camille took a deep breath. "Probably yes. The man who is your father will probably be there." "Will we meet him?" Marcus asked. "You might see him, but he is not part of our family and he never will be. We do not need him. We have each other." Maya moved closer to Camille and hugged her. "I do not want a father. I just want you." "You have me," Camille said. "You will always have me." The night before the auction, Camille could not sleep. She lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, everything changed. Tomorrow, the world would know her name. Tomorrow, Benjamin Hayes would learn the truth. She was terrified. But she was also ready. At 6 in the morning, she got up and made breakfast for the children. Ruth came up from her apartment to help them get dressed in their matching outfits. "How are you feeling?" Ruth asked. "Like I might throw up." "That is normal. You are about to do something very brave." Marcus, Miles, and Maya came into the kitchen. They looked serious in their nice clothes. "Mommy, are you scared?" Maya asked. Camille knelt down so she was at eye level with her daughter. "Yes, I am scared, but I am doing it anyway. Sometimes being brave means doing something even when you are afraid." "We will be with you," Marcus said, "all 3 of us." Camille pulled all 3 children into a hug. "That is all I need." Friday came too quickly. Camille spent the day trying to stay calm. She made lunch for the children. She helped Maya practice tying her shoes. She reminded Marcus to use his inhaler because the weather was changing, but all she could think about was 8 o'clock that evening. At 3 in the afternoon, Ruth knocked on the door. Time to start getting ready. Camille had bought a simple black dress from a thrift store in Brooklyn. It was plain and elegant. The night before, she had deliberately taken paint from her studio and smeared small stains on the sleeves. She wanted everyone to see she was a working artist, not someone performing for cameras. Ruth helped the children get dressed in their matching outfits. Navy blue pants and white shirts for Marcus and Miles. A navy blue dress for Maya. Ruth had bought them with her own money, refusing to let Camille pay her back. "You look so handsome," Ruth told Marcus and Miles. "You look so beautiful," Ruth told Maya. Maya spun in a circle. "I look like a princess." "You look like yourself," Ruth said. "That is better than any princess." Camille put on her black dress and looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. She looked tired. She looked nervous. But she also looked strong. At 5 o'clock, they took a taxi to Manhattan. Marcus sat quietly looking out the window. Miles held Camille's hand tightly. Maya asked questions the entire drive. "Where are we going again?" "Rockefeller Center. It is a big building in Manhattan. Will there be lots of people?" "Yes, lots of people." "Will they look at us?" "Probably yes." "Good. I like when people look at me." Camille smiled despite her nerves. Maya was fearless. She wished she could borrow some of that fearlessness. Meanwhile, across Manhattan, in a Tribeca loft, Benjamin Hayes was getting ready for the same auction. He stood in front of his closet, choosing between 2 suits. He picked the Italian one, dark blue, with a perfect fit. Victoria Hayes sat in the living room checking her phone. She wore a cream-colored dress that cost more than Camille's monthly rent. "Are you ready?" Benjamin called. "I have been ready for 20 minutes, Victoria said. Her voice was flat and bored. Benjamin came into the living room adjusting his tie. "The museum director from London will be there tonight. I want to make sure we talk to him." "I know. You have mentioned it 5 times. This painting is going to be important. Owning it will establish me as a serious collector." Victoria looked up from her phone. "You are spending how much on this painting?" "Whatever it takes. The estimate is 10 to 20 million. I am prepared to go to 25 if necessary." "That is a lot of money for a painting by someone nobody knows." "That is the point. The mystery makes it valuable. Everyone is trying to figure out who this artist is. When the identity is eventually revealed, the value will triple. This is an investment." Victoria stood up and picked up her small purse. "Fine. Let us go look at expensive paintings and pretend we care." They took a car service to Rockefeller Center. Benjamin felt excited. He loved these big auction nights, the energy in the room, the competition of bidding, the moment when the hammer fell and he won something everyone else wanted. He thought about the anonymous painting. He had seen it in the Christie's catalog. A woman on a mountain holding 3 stars. The technique was flawless. The composition was powerful. Whoever painted it had real talent. He wondered briefly who the artist might be. Probably someone young trying to build mystique. Maybe someone from Europe or Asia, where anonymous art was more common. It did not really matter. What mattered was owning it. Benjamin did not think about Camille Jackson at all. He had not thought about her in years. She was a mistake from his past that he had dealt with and forgotten. As far as he knew, she had disappeared after he failed her. Where she went or what happened to her was not his concern. At 6:30, Camille and her children arrived at Christie's auction house. Simon met them at a side entrance away from the main crowd. "You made it," Simon said. He looked nervous. How are you feeling? Terrible, Camille admitted. That is normal. Come with me. I will show you where you will wait. Simon led them through quiet hallways to a private room. It had comfortable chairs, a table with water bottles, and a large monitor showing the auction room. The auction starts at 7, Simon explained. Your lot is 47. That will probably be around 8:45. You wait here and watch on the monitor. When the hammer falls and the sale is final, the auctioneer will announce that the artist has chosen to reveal their identity. That is when you walk out. I will come get you. What about the children? Camille asked. Ruth will wait with them here. When you are on stage and start speaking, she will bring them down the center aisle. I already showed her the route. Ruth nodded. She looked calm. Camille envied her calmness. Marcus, Miles, and Maya sat in the chairs looking around the room. They were being very good, very quiet. Camille was proud of them. I am going to the auction room now, Simon said. I need to be visible. People expect me to be there since I represent the artist. Are you ready? No, Camille said, but I am doing it anyway. Simone squeezed her hand. You are the bravest person I know. After Simone left, Camille sat with Ruth and her children. The monitor showed people filing into the auction room. Elegant people in expensive clothes, collectors, dealers, museum directors, journalists with cameras. At 7 o'clock, the auction began. The first lot was a sculpture that sold for $400,000. The second was a painting that went for $600,000. The numbers felt unreal. Mommy, why are people paying so much money for pictures? Miles asked. Because art is valuable, Camille said. Art tells stories and shows how people feel. That is worth a lot. Maya leaned against Camille. Your pictures are the best pictures ever. They should pay you $1 billion. Camille hugged her daughter. Thank you, baby. They watched lot after lot sell. 15, 20, 30. Each sale took only a few minutes. The auctioneer spoke quickly and the numbers climbed fast. At 8:30, Camille's heart started racing. Her lot was coming soon. On the monitor, she could see the auction room. It was completely full now. 300 people. She scanned the faces looking for Benjamin Hayes. There he was. Third row, wearing a dark suit. His hair was grayer than she remembered, but his face was the same. Next to him sat a thin blonde woman in a cream dress. That must be Victoria. Camille stared at Benjamin on the screen. 5 years. 5 years since she had seen him. 5 years since he had destroyed her life. He looked comfortable and confident. He had no idea what was about to happen. Mommy, you are shaking, Marcus said. Camille looked down. Her hands were trembling. I am just nervous. It will be okay, Marcus said. He took her hand. We are here with you. Ruth moved closer. Breathe. Just breathe. Lot 45 sold. Then Lot 46. Then the auctioneer's voice came through the monitor. Lot 47. A major work by the celebrated anonymous artist known only by the symbol of 3 connected circles. The estimate is $10 to $20 million. On the screen, Camille's painting appeared on the auction block. The woman on the mountain holding 3 stars. The painting she had poured her heart into. The room went quiet. Everyone stared at the painting. We will open bidding at $5 million, the auctioneer said. Multiple paddles went up around the room. The price started climbing immediately. 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, 9 million. Camille watched Benjamin raise his paddle. Number 73, 10 million, 11 million, 12 million. The bidding slowed down. Only a few paddles were still moving. Benjamin kept raising his paddle every time someone else bid. 13 million, 14 million. Now only 2 bidders remained. Benjamin and someone on the telephone in the back of the room. $15 million, the auctioneer said. $15 million to the telephone bidder. Benjamin raised his paddle. $15 million to paddle number 73. The telephone bidder dropped out. The auctioneer looked around the room. Selling at $15 million to paddle number 73. Fair warning. He raised his hammer. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The hammer fell with a loud crack. Sold for $15 million to Mr. Benjamin Hayes. Paddle 73. The room erupted in applause. On the monitor, Camille watched Benjamin stand up. He was smiling. People around him reached over to shake his hand. Simone appeared in the doorway. "That is your cue. Are you ready?" Camille stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk toward the door. "Good luck, Mommy," Maya whispered. Camille followed Simon through a narrow hallway. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought everyone in the building could hear it. They reached a door that led to the side of the auction stage. "When you hear the auctioneer announce you, walk straight to the microphone," Simon said. "Say what you need to say. I will be right there if you need me." Camille nodded. Her mouth was too dry to speak. In the auction room, the auctioneer was speaking into the microphone. His voice was calm and professional. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue to the next lot, the artist has chosen this historic moment to reveal her identity." The entire room went silent. 300 people stopped moving. Benjamin Hayes, who had been accepting congratulations from the person next to him, froze. His hand was still raised mid-handshake. "Please welcome the artist to the stage." Simone opened the door. Camille walked out. The stage lights were bright. She could see hundreds of faces staring at her. She walked to the microphone. Her legs felt like they might stop working, but she kept moving forward. She stood at the microphone and looked directly at Benjamin Hayes in the third row. He was staring at her with his mouth slightly open. He did not recognize her yet. 5 years had changed her. She was older, thinner, harder. Camille spoke into the microphone. Her voice was shaking but clear. "My name is Camille Jackson." She saw the exact moment Benjamin recognized her. His face went completely white. 6 years ago, the man who just bought my painting was my professor at the Manhattan Arts Institute. His name is Benjamin Hayes. The room erupted in whispers. People turned to stare at Benjamin. Victoria, sitting next to him, looked at her husband with confusion. Camille continued, "Professor Hayes told me I had extraordinary talent. He asked me to stay after class for private lessons. We started a relationship. He told me his marriage was empty. He told me he cared about me." Benjamin started to stand up, but then sat back down. His face was still white. "When I told him I was pregnant, he gave me a failing grade on my final project. He told me my work was technically incompetent and emotionally empty. He told me to leave the program and never contact him again. He said if I told anyone he was the father, he would destroy my reputation in every art circle in America." The whispers were getting louder. A journalist in the front row was typing frantically on her phone. Another was taking photographs of Benjamin's face. "I left Manhattan Arts Institute with no degree and no money," Camille said. "I moved to Brooklyn. 5 months later, I gave birth to 3 children at Brookdale Hospital. Triplets. 2 boys named Marcus and Miles, and 1 girl named Maya. I raised them alone while working 3 jobs. Professor Hayes never met his children. He never acknowledged them. He never sent $1 to help feed them or clothe them." Victoria Hayes turned to stare at her husband. Her face was rigid with shock. "But I kept painting," Camille continued. "Every night after my children fell asleep, I painted. I painted because Professor Hayes was wrong about me. My work was never incompetent or empty. It was real and powerful and true." At that moment, The side door opened. Ruth Goldstein walked down the center aisle, holding Maya's hand. Marcus and Miles walked on either side of her. All three children wore their matching outfits. All three had bright green eyes that could be seen even from the stage. The entire room watched the children walk forward. Some people gasped. The resemblance was undeniable. Maya, Marcus, and Miles reached the stage. Camille picked up Maya and held her. Marcus and Miles stood on either side of their mother. Maya looked out at the auction room. She was not scared of all the people. She was looking at faces, curious. Then she saw Benjamin Hayes in the third row. She pointed at him. "Mommy!" Maya said loudly. Her voice carried through the silent room. "That man looks exactly like Miles." Several people in the audience made shocked sounds. A woman in the second row put her hand over her mouth. Everyone was staring at Benjamin and then at the three children. The green eyes were identical. The shape of the nose was the same. The resemblance was impossible to miss. Victoria Hayes stood up. Her movement was sudden and sharp. She looked at the three children on the stage. She looked at her husband. Her voice cut through the room. "Benjamin! Are these your children?" Everyone in the auction room heard her. Benjamin opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He looked frozen. His face had gone from white to gray. The museum director from London, sitting 2 rows behind Benjamin, stood up and walked toward the exit, without saying anything. Other people whispered to each other. Phones came out. Multiple people were taking photographs and videos. A journalist from The New Yorker stood up and called out, "Professor Hayes, do you have a comment?" Benjamin did not respond. He just sat there, staring at the stage. Marcus looked at Benjamin too. Then he looked up at his mother. "Is that him, Mommy?" "Yes," Camille said quietly. "That is him." Miles moved closer to Camille and held her hand. He did not look at Benjamin at all. Camille turned back to the microphone. She adjusted Maya on her hip and spoke one final time. "Thank you for the $15 million, Professor Hayes. Every penny will go into trust funds for Marcus, Miles, and Maya. My children will go to good schools. They will go to college. They will have opportunities and security. They will never need anything from you again. You tried to destroy me 6 years ago. Instead, you just paid for their entire future." The room exploded with noise. People were talking loudly. Journalists were rushing toward the front. Camera flashes went off. Camille walked off the stage with her 3 children. Simon was waiting in the wings with Ruth. "You did it," Simon said. "You actually did it." "I need to leave now," Camille said, "before people start asking questions. I have a car waiting at the side of exit. Come on." They rushed through the hallways. Behind them, Camille could hear the chaos in the auction room growing louder. In the auction room itself, Victoria Hayes grabbed her small purse and walked out. She did not look at Benjamin. She did not say anything else. She just left. Benjamin sat alone in the third row. People were staring at him, whispering about him, pointing at him. A journalist approached him. "Mr. Hayes, can you confirm that those children are yours?" Benjamin stood up. He tried to walk toward the exit, but 3 more journalists blocked his path. "Did you know about the children? Did you fail Miss Jackson's project to silence her? How long was the affair? What do you have to say about the allegations?" Benjamin pushed past them without speaking. His hands were shaking. His carefully constructed life was falling apart around him in real time. Another journalist followed him into the hallway. "Mr. Hayes, just one comment. Anything at all." Benjamin reached the exit and walked out into the cold March night. He could still hear people calling his name behind him, asking questions he could not answer. His phone started ringing. The Manhattan Arts Institute, then his publisher, then his lawyer. He turned the phone off and put it in his pocket. He stood on the sidewalk outside Christie's auction house. People walked past him, heading to restaurants and shows. Nobody knew who he was or what had just happened. But by tomorrow morning, everyone would know. Benjamin Hayes had just bought a painting for $15 million from the woman whose life he had destroyed. The woman who had just exposed him in front of the entire art world. He had tried to erase Camille Jackson 6 years ago. Now, she had erased him instead. By Saturday morning, the story was everywhere. Camille woke up in her Crown Heights apartment and turned on her phone. It had been off since the auction. Now it flooded with notifications. Ruth knocked on the door at 7 in the morning. She was holding a newspaper. "You need to see this," Ruth said. The New York Times arts section had the story on the front page. The headline read, "Anonymous painter revealed as former student of professor who failed her." Below it was a photograph of Camille on the Christie's stage, holding Maya, with Marcus and Miles standing beside her. Camille read the article out loud to Ruth. Last night at Christie's auction house, the art world was shocked when celebrated anonymous painter Camille Jackson revealed her identity moments after her work sold for $15 million. Jackson, 30 years old, accused Professor Benjamin Hayes of Manhattan Arts Institute of failing her final project after she told him she was pregnant with his children. The 3 children, now 5 years old, were present at the auction. The resemblance to Professor Hayes is unmistakable. "Keep reading," Ruth said. Manhattan Arts Institute released a statement late last night saying they are investigating the allegations and that Professor Hayes has been placed on immediate administrative leave. Victoria Hayes, wife of Benjamin Hayes, filed for divorce through her attorney this morning. 3 former students of Professor Hayes have come forward with similar stories of inappropriate relationships and abuse of power. Camille put down the paper. Her hands were shaking. 3 other students? "He did this to other women," Ruth said. "You were not the only one, but you were the only one brave enough to speak publicly." Marcus, Miles, and Maya were still sleeping. Camille was grateful for that. She did not know how to explain to them what was happening. Her phone rang. It was Simon. "Have you seen the news?" Simon asked. "Yes. It is everywhere. Every major publication, social media is exploding. Everyone is praising your courage and talent, and everyone is condemning Benjamin Hayes." "What about the money? The $15 million? Christie's will transfer it within 48 hours. I am setting up the trust funds for Marcus, Miles, and Maya today. $5 million each. That money will pay for their education, their futures, everything they need." Camille started crying. She could not help it. "They will really be okay. They will really be safe. They will be more than okay. And Camille, your career is about to explode. I have been getting calls all morning from major galleries, museums, collectors. Everyone wants to work with you. Everyone wants your paintings. I do not care about that right now. I just want my children to be safe and provided for. They are. I promise you, they are." Over the next week, the story continued to spread. Social media was filled with people sharing the New York Times article. Art critics wrote pieces about Camille's work and her courage. Women's organizations praised her for speaking out. Manhattan Arts Institute released a second statement announcing that Benjamin Hayes was no longer employed there. His faculty page was removed from their website. The 3 former students who came forward gave interviews describing inappropriate relationships and coercion. Benjamin's book publisher canceled his contract and pulled his book from stores. Galleries that had displayed his paintings quietly removed them. His friends stopped calling. His email inbox filled with messages from journalists requesting comment. He responded to none of them. Victoria Hayes released a statement through her lawyer. I had no knowledge of my husband's relationships with students or the existence of these children. I am filing for divorce immediately. I wish Miss Jackson and her children well." Benjamin moved out of the Tribeca loft. Victoria kept the apartment as part of the divorce settlement. He rented a small apartment in Jersey City. It had one bedroom and a view of a parking lot. His lawyer called him on Wednesday. "Benjamin, you need to decide how you want to handle this. Do you want to fight the allegations or stay quiet? What do you recommend?" "Stay quiet. If you fight this, it will make everything worse. The children's resemblance to you is undeniable. 3 other students have come forward with credible stories. You have no defense." "What about child support? She is going to come after me for child support." The lawyer was quiet for a moment. "Benjamin, she just made $15 million from selling a painting. She does not need your money. Her lawyer contacted me yesterday. She has no interest in pursuing child support or any further legal action. She wants nothing from you." Benjamin hung up the phone and looked around his small apartment. Everything he had built was gone. His job, his marriage, his reputation, his carefully constructed image as an important person in the art world had been destroyed in one night. Meanwhile, Camille's life was transforming. The $15 million was transferred to Christie's within 48 hours. Simon set up 3 separate trust funds. Each child would have access to their fund at age 25. "What about the rest of the money after the trust funds?" Camille asked Simon. "After trust funds, my commission and taxes, you will have about $3 million left. What do you want to do with it?" "I want to buy a house. A real house, with a yard and enough bedrooms for everyone." 2 months later, Camille bought a brownstone in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. It had 4 bedrooms, a garden in the back, and a full floor at the top that she converted into a painting studio. The studio had skylights and proper ventilation and more space than she had ever dreamed of. Marcus, Miles, and Maya each got their own bedroom. They could barely believe it. They had shared a room their entire lives. "This is really mine?" Maya asked, standing in her new bedroom. "Just mine?" "Just yours," Camille said. The garden apartment on the ground floor was empty. Camille asked Ruth to move in rent-free. "You have taken care of us for 5 years," Camille said. "This is the least I can do." Ruth cried. She had lived in the same small apartment for 20 years. Having a garden apartment in a beautiful brownstone felt like a dream. Marcus, Miles, and Maya started kindergarten at a private school in Brooklyn Heights. Teachers said all 3 children were bright and creative. Maya told everyone her mother was a famous painter. Miles drew detailed pictures during art time. Marcus helped other students who were struggling with their work. Camille continued painting, but now she signed her work with her full name, Camille Jackson. The mysterious symbol of 3 circles was gone. She had nothing left to hide. Her paintings continued to sell for high prices. $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. Museums started acquiring her work for permanent collections. The Museum of Modern Art bought 2 paintings. The Whitney bought 1. Critics wrote articles analyzing her work. Some praised it. Some questioned whether it was overhyped because of her story. Camille did not care about the critics. She painted because she needed to paint, because it was who she was. The money and recognition were secondary. One afternoon, Miles asked a question while they were eating lunch. "Mommy, do we have a father?" Marcus and Maya stopped eating and looked at Camille. "You have a father biologically," Camille said carefully. "His name is Benjamin Hayes, but he made bad choices. He is not part of our family and never will be." "Does he want to meet us?" Marcus asked. "No, he does not." "Good," Maya said. "We do not need him. We have you and Grandma Ruth." Miles was quiet for a moment. I saw a picture of him online. He looks like us. Yes, you have his eyes and some of his features. But that does not mean anything about who you are. You are your own people. 2 years after the Christie's auction, the Museum of Modern Art contacted Simon. They wanted to give Camille a solo exhibition. It was a major honor. Most artists waited decades for a MoMA show. Camille was only 32. "This is huge," Simon told her. "This establishes you as one of the most important artists of your generation." When would it happen? Next spring. You would need to create new work and select pieces from the last 7 years. It will be a lot of work. I will do it. Camille spent 6 months preparing for the exhibition. She painted 12 new pieces. She worked with MoMA curators to select older works. She wanted the show to tell a complete story. The struggle, the survival, the triumph. Opening night came in April. The museum was filled with collectors, critics, journalists, and art lovers. Camille wore a simple black dress. Her hair was pulled back. She wore no jewelry. Marcus, Miles, and Maya came to the opening. They were 7 years old now. They walked through the gallery looking at their mother's paintings with serious expressions. "This one is sad," Miles said, pointing at a painting of a woman alone in darkness. "I painted that when you were babies, and I was very tired and scared," Camille said. "Are you still scared?" Maya asked. "No, not anymore." A journalist from Art Forum approached Camille. "Miss Jackson, what do you want to say about Benjamin Hayes? Do you think about him?" Camille looked at the journalist calmly. "I do not think about him anymore. I think about my children and my work. That is all that matters." "Do you consider this revenge?" "No. This is not revenge. This is my life. I built it despite what he tried to do to me. He is not part of this story anymore." The journalist wrote down her words and walked away. Maya tugged on Camille's sleeve. "Mommy, your paintings are bigger than the whole building." Camille laughed and picked up her daughter. "That is because we dreamed bigger than anyone thought possible." The Museum of Modern Art exhibition ran for 3 months. Over 100,000 people came to see Camille's work. Lines formed outside the museum on weekends. Art students came to study her technique. Families brought their children to see the paintings. One painting in particular drew crowds. It was positioned at the entrance of the exhibition, 6 feet tall and 8 feet wide. It showed 3 small figures standing on top of a mountain made of paintbrushes. The figures were reaching upward toward a sky filled with stars. Their faces were turned toward light. The title card read, "Marcus, Miles, and Maya, my greatest masterpiece." Below the title, another card said, "This work is not for sale. It is part of the artist's personal collection." People stood in front of this painting and cried. Parents held their children's hands and pointed at it. Teachers brought school groups to discuss what it meant. A woman approached Camille one afternoon while she was visiting the exhibition. "I am a single mother," the woman said. "I have 2 kids and I work 2 jobs. Seeing your story and your work makes me feel less alone." "Thank you." Camille hugged the woman. "You are not alone. Keep going. It gets better." After the exhibition ended, the painting of Marcus, Miles, and Maya was returned to Camille. She hung it in the entrance hallway of their Fort Greene brownstone. It was the first thing anyone saw when they walked through the front door. Every morning, Camille woke up at 6 o'clock. She went downstairs to the kitchen and made breakfast for her children. Ruth came up from the garden apartment to help. This was their routine. Marcus, Miles, and Maya came downstairs at 7 o'clock. They were 8 years old now, tall and healthy and confident. They sat at the kitchen table and ate pancakes or eggs or oatmeal. They talked about school and friends and what they were learning. "I have a math test today," Marcus said one Tuesday morning. "Did you study?" Camille asked. "Yes. Ruth helped me last night." "I helped him," Ruth said, pouring coffee. "He knows all the multiplication tables now." Miles was drawing in a notebook while he ate. He drew constantly, pictures of spaceships and buildings and imaginary creatures. "What are you drawing?" Camille asked. "A machine that can fly to other planets," Miles said. "I want to be an engineer when I grow up. Or maybe an artist, like you." Maya was reading a book about animals. She loved animals. She wanted a dog, but Camille kept saying, "Not yet." "When can we get a dog?" Maya asked for the 100th time. "When you are older and can help take care of it." "I am old enough now." "You are 8. When you are 10, we can talk about it." Maya sighed dramatically but accepted the answer. She went back to reading about dolphins. After breakfast, Camille walked the children to school. It was a 15-minute walk through Fort Greene. The neighborhood was beautiful in the morning. Trees lined the streets. People walked their dogs and carried coffee. Other parents said hello to Camille. Some asked about her work. Some were awkward because they had read articles about her story. Camille was always polite, but she did not talk about the past. She only talked about the present. After dropping the children at school, Camille walked home and went up to her studio on the top floor. She painted every morning from 9 until 3. 6 hours. That was her work schedule. She no longer painted dark images of suffering. Her new work was different, brighter, more hopeful. She painted images of growth and strength, gardens growing from broken concrete, children building towers from scattered pieces, women climbing mountains with light on their faces. Simone sold every painting she created. Her prices had stabilized around $500,000 per piece. Museums around the world owned her work. The Tate in London, the Pompidou in Paris, the Tokyo National Museum. She was financially secure for the rest of her life. So were her children. The trust funds had grown with investments. Each child would have over $7 million when they turned 25. But Camille did not think about money much anymore. She thought about painting and her children and the life they had built together. In the afternoons, she picked up Marcus, Miles, and Maya from school. They did homework at the kitchen table while Camille made dinner. Ruth helped Maya with reading. Camille helped Marcus with science. Miles usually finished his homework quickly and then drew more pictures. They ate dinner together every night, all 5 of them around the table. They talked about their days. The children told stories about school. Ruth told stories about her childhood in Brooklyn. Camille listened and laughed and felt grateful, and after dinner, the children played in the garden or read in their rooms. At 8 o'clock, they took baths and got ready for bed. Camille read them stories even though they were old enough to read themselves. She liked the ritual of it, the closeness. "Tell us about when we were babies," Maya said one night. "You were very small," Camille said. "All 3 of you together weighed less than 15 pounds. "Did we cry a lot?" Marcus asked. "All the time. You took turns crying all night long." "Was it hard?" Miles asked. Camille was quiet for a moment. "Yes, it was very hard. I was alone and scared and exhausted. But then Ruth came and helped us, and I started painting again. And slowly, things got better." "Are you still scared?" Marcus asked. "Sometimes, but not like before. Now when I am scared, I remember that I survived the hardest thing I will ever face. Everything else is easier." The children thought about this. Then Maya said, "We love you, Mommy." "I love you 3 more than anything in the world." Meanwhile, across the river in Jersey City, Benjamin Hayes lived alone in a small apartment. He had not worked in 2 years. Nobody would hire him. His name was poison in the art world. He spent his days reading news about Camille Jackson. her success, her exhibitions, her rising prices. Every article was a reminder of his failure and her triumph. He thought about contacting her, apologizing, asking to meet his children. But his lawyer had advised him against it. She has made it clear she wants nothing from you. Any contact could be seen as harassment. So Benjamin did nothing. He lived in his small apartment and watched his former student become one of the most celebrated artists in America. The student he had told had no talent. The student he had tried to destroy. He had tried to erase her and instead had erased himself. One Saturday morning, Marcus asked Camille a question while they were in the garden. "Do you ever see our father?" "No, never." "Does he want to see us?" "I do not know what he wants, but it does not matter. We have our family, the four of us and Ruth. That is enough." Marcus pulled a weed from the garden bed. "I am glad we do not see him. I do not think I would like him." "You do not have to like him or think about him. He is not part of your life." Miles was drawing a picture of a flower. He looked up. "Are we going to be okay forever? Or could everything fall apart again?" Camille knelt down next to her children. "We are going to be okay, I promise. We have money saved. We have this house. We have each other. Nothing can take that away." "Because you worked hard," Marcus said. "Because I worked hard and refused to give up. And because I had people who helped me. Ruth, Simon, you three gave me a reason to keep going when I wanted to quit." Maya hugged Camille. "We will always be together. The four of us. Always," Camille agreed. That evening, after the children were asleep, Camille went to her studio. She turned on the lights and looked at the canvas she had been working on. It showed a woman standing in bright sunlight. Her face was peaceful. Her hands were open at her sides. She was not running or fighting or struggling. She was just standing, existing, at peace. Camille picked up her brush and added more light to the background. She painted until midnight. Not because she had to, not because she needed money or validation or revenge. She painted because it was who she was, because art was how she understood the world and her place in it. When she finished, she washed her brushes and turned off the lights. She went downstairs and checked on her children. All three were sleeping peacefully. Marcus on his back, Miles on his side. Maya curled up with her stuffed elephant. Camille stood in the doorway and watched them breathe. These three humans who had changed her entire life, who had been the greatest challenge and the greatest gift she had ever received. She had not built this life through revenge. She had built it through refusing to let anyone else define her worth. Through working when she was exhausted. Through painting when she wanted to quit. Through asking for help when she needed it. Through loving her children with everything she had. The next morning, they all ate breakfast together, like always. Pancakes and fruit and orange juice. Ruth told a funny story about her neighbor. The children laughed. Camille drank her coffee and felt the morning sunlight coming through the kitchen windows. This was enough. This was everything. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen